Welcome back to ADD, My Life with ADD. I guess it would be volume 2. I want to talk about through a kind of a brief overview of medicines that I've been on. I want to do a video sometime of living with ADD on medicine versus off and what it's like for me. Um, but right now I just want to give a brief overview of medicines that I have been on and what I've tried that's out there and what I thought of it. So I started being treated for ADD when I was a teenager, and with the trial, my first one I ever tried, and the one I was on for probably the longest was Ritalin, which back then in the early '90s, that was really the go-to. I don't know if any of the newer ones had been invented yet. So the first one I went on was Ritalin. I was on it for a long time. I've also been prescribed Adderall. I've been prescribed Vyvanse. I've been prescribed this it's not the same. I don't know what class of drugs it is, but it isn't the same as the others. It was called Intuniv. It was a different type of treatment for ADD. So let me talk about those for just a minute. Um, what's my favorite ADD med? Like if I had to, I got to control the day. I got things that I need to make sure I'm tip top for. What's my go-to? What would I, if I could have any of them? Vyvanse. Vyvanse by far is my favorite ADD medicine because it doesn't have the same detriments as the others, basically, which is what I'll talk about. But the thing that I do really like about Vyvanse is one, it lasts really long, which is also the thing I don't like about it. Like if you're going to take Vyvanse, you need to make sure that you don't need to sleep for like a good 14 to 16 hours. You better take it early. You better get up early, like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. You better take it, okay? Because if you take it at 10 in the morning, you're still going to be trucking at like midnight, okay? It is a long-lasting medicine. It makes you go all day. Not that you're hyper, but like you will not take a nap. You can be tired, you can feel tired. Lay down, try to take a nap. You will not sleep on this stuff. It keeps my brain at least on track, okay? Like the minute my brain starts to veer off into like the realm of imagination, into I'm gonna drift off a little bit, it's like it just kicks it back into what are you doing? I don't know how that works in your brain. I'm not a doctor. I don't understand. I just know that like when I'm on Vyvanse, I don't drift off. It's really crazy to just be able to concentrate on something for a long time and stuff that you may not be interested in. And you don't daydream. You just don't go anywhere. It just kicks you right back into reality. It's incredible. So I do like that facet of it. Don't like the I don't like the long the amount it lasts. Like it really lasts a long time to the point where if you take Vyvanse every day, Monday through Friday, for a week of like work, school, whatever, you better take the weekend off because you have got to catch up on your sleep. You know, if you take this stuff 7 days a week for a lengthy period of time, you're gonna run down. I lost weight. I lost a lot of weight on Vyvanse. It wasn't like an unhealthy amount of weight, but it was more weight than I wanted to lose. I was definitely skinnier than I ever thought I would be at the end of like this long time of being on Vyvanse. So it's my favorite with some caveats. My least favorite drug for ADD is Adderall. People make a really big deal of Adderall. Like I need some Adderall. All Adderall did, all it did for me was make me more hyper. That's all it did. It just sped my brain up. It didn't control the impulse. It didn't control going off track into daydreaming. It just made everything faster. And that's not helping. That didn't help me at all. Some people, you find, you use it, it works for you, great. I don't recommend it, especially if you're like me. It didn't help me, not a single bit. I was also on this stuff called Intuniv. I was on Intuniv while I was taking Vyvanse. And Intuniv's a really interesting drug. If you take a full dose of it, it actually makes you tired. So if you take like they measure the doses, like they dose you up until you get tired, and they bring it back because they don't want you there. So they're like, oh, take one today, take two the next day, take three the next day. And I got to the point where I was really tired, and they were like, okay, we're gonna dose you back. So they brought me back down to like 2 pills a day. And what it did was it made me want to organize. I can't, and that's weird for me. Like physical organization. Like, give me a shoe rack now. I need a shoe rack. I need to organize something. It gave me this crazy impulse to like organize things by color and shape and size. And when you combine that with the Vyvanse, which of course keeps you focused, you become this like organizational nightmare of a person. You know, like you just want to organize everything. You want to do it now. You want to do it fast. And at the end of the day, I couldn't keep up. I didn't want to keep up that pace. It just like, it wasn't that it was bad. It's just, you get to this point where like, this isn't me. Like I can't take this stuff and pretend that this is what I want to do all day. Because there is that aspect of it. You have this urge to organize, and yet you don't want to be the guy that just organizes all day. You want to get other stuff done. So I ended up not taking that very long. I just went off it. I find that I don't really need it. It's interesting. It's an interesting drug to be on, but it's not something that I needed to handle my ADD. It was like this extra, like, so I went off the Intuitive. I've never tried it again. It wasn't really something I'm into. Which brings me to my middle ground. Like, if you have to treat ADD, you don't have access to Vyvanse, because I do recommend Vyvanse if you're, maybe it doesn't work for you, but it worked for me. So I recommend that. But brings me to Ritalin. Ritalin, which I was on for a long time, and I was off for a long time. Ritalin will make you concentrate. It will. It'll make you concentrate. For me, what it also did is it gave me incredible anxiety. Not anxiety of like worrying about the future, not anxiety of like I would suddenly start worrying about other things outside in my, my next day or whatever. An anxiety of the present, an anxiety of like, you have 1 hour left to study for a major test. Okay? That type of anxiety. Like the anxiety of, I need to do this now. And it would last for basically the 3 or 4 hours that Ritalin lasts, because I was on, I don't know what the dosages are now, because I haven't taken Ritalin in a long time, but back in the day, a dose of Ritalin lasted like maybe 6 hours if you were lucky, and then you had to redose. And it was really good if you wanted to study, if you wanted to concentrate, if you wanted to get through school or get through a tight spot in your job. Maybe you have a job that's really intense with Excel spreadsheets or something. You got a big presentation you have to do. Then it was really good. But for like every day getting stuff done, I didn't like it. It would just make it made me too nervous. It made me feel like there's something coming that I need to be ready for, study for, even if there wasn't. And I just didn't like that feeling. So there's the 4 medicines that I've really tried. I don't know of any others actually. Ritalin, Adderall, Intuitive, Vyvanse, like those are the 4 medicines that I know about for ADD. So if there's any others, put them in the comments. I'm not sure, but there you go. That's what I think. That's what I recommend.